Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello. Here we are back again. Hope everyone got
Hey.
coffee, wine, water, snack. I had some little plantain chips myself. Um, all right, let's do this. Class number three of the first day of the sixth season on day 252. No, I have no idea what day of the year.
Well, I can do math.
Who's paying attention? Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Essentials free online classes on navigating the photojournalism industry and beyond. We just got back from a 30-minute break, so if you are just joining us, please drop where you're tuning in from in the chat. Like I said, this is our sixth season, so also mention if this is your first or your fourth or your fifth or your sixth. Anastas, I'm looking at you. And it's all been made possible by partnering with grassroots photo organizations working toward inclusivity, equity, and access in the media. That would be the Everyday Projects, Black Women Photographers, and Photo Wings. My name is Danielle Viasana. And in addition to my work as an independent photojournalist, I'm also a community team member of the awesome Everyday Projects, which is a global community of visual storytellers, all committed to using imagery to combat harmful misperceptions and to rise above persistent inequality. And we are a nonprofit and we do a lot of other cool stuff. And I am so excited to be here with the one and only amazing, flawless Polly Irungu, who is the founder of Black Women Photographers. And I just love being with you. I was texting her earlier. I'm just like so in awe of so in awe of Polly, and it's just always such a joy to share this space with you.
Truly, truly, such a joy to share with you as well, Danielle. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in or returning. If you were here with us before, my name is Polly Aringo. I'm the founder of Black Women Photographers. It's a global organization that I started 5 years ago, and we provide resources from things like this with partners like the Essentials to our annual summit to workshops, free portfolio reviews, grants, photo walks, you name it. We are actively trying to do it or doing it. And so we're so excited about the Essentials. It's one of our favorite things every year. And the Essentials, like you mentioned earlier, Danielle, wouldn't be possible without great partners, and that we have Photo Wings. And we're so, so thankful for Photo Wings support to make this series free and accessible to all online. Photo Wings is a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing the power of photography to further deeper thinking, communication, and action. Their extensive online content and Photo Wings outreach programs have myriad educational applications and possibilities. So if you're enjoying this series, if it's your first time or your sixth time, please, please, please do spread the word. Let Photo Wings know. Let others know the great work that we're doing here to make these vital information free and accessible to everyone who has a passion for storytelling.
Yes, and on the note of people making it possible, I'd also like to give a shout out to a couple of team members of the community team of the Everyday Projects. We've got Rebecca Gibeon and Austin Merrill, who, along with Peter DeCampo, are the co-founders of the Everyday Projects, and they are behind the scenes making sure this all flows smooth. Polly and I are pretty smooth, but they like are really making sure this goes smoothly. Um, and On the note of the Everyday Projects and mentioning people we love dearly, before we continue, I just want to take a moment to honor the life of Sarah Terry, who's pictured here. She is the beautiful, smiling, joyful woman in the glasses, and she recently passed away and left a ginormous, immeasurable hole in our hearts and beyond. The visual media industry is not going to be the same without her. She's given so much of herself to the visual media industry, to photographers. She was an amazing photographer herself and a filmmaker and founder of the Aftermath Project. And in fact, we have a recipient of the Aftermath Project. who's going to speak about her work. And, this is part of Sarah's legacy as well. And she was always a supporter of the everyday projects. She helped from the very beginning, help build it and grow it at first as a contributor. And then when we became a nonprofit, she joined our board of directors. And in fact, this is the picture of after their first board meeting. You can see Austin and Peter up there with a few other board members. And she just loved the essentials. It's exactly the kind of thing she believed in. She'd always send, messages of encouragement and all. And that was just what she was about. People, supporting one another and uplifting one another through photography and education. And so that's, what we are here to continue doing today. We have an amazing lineup for you guys this weekend. We've already heard from Taiwo, Aino, and Nicole Tung, and we're just going to keep it going. We've got really stellar teachers for the remainder of the weekend tomorrow. Again, covering topics that are just absolutely necessary to learn more about in order to build a successful path as a visual storyteller. And as probably most of you who are tuned in right now know, there's a lot of time for Q&A. We're all about the open dialogue and asking those questions. This is a safe space, so please make sure to drop your questions in the chat. Don't be shy. And, we hope that whether you're at the beginning of your career, in the middle, and not at the end, because this is a never-ending long journey that just never has an end in sight. Where are you? And it's just it just keeps going. And that's what learning and growth is all about, right? Where no matter where you are in your career, there are always opportunities to learn and grow. I myself love hearing from everyone because I'm always picking up stuff that I didn't know that I can use. And so it's really just a wonderful wealth of information. And before we get started, just one little last reminder. Polly, you want to remind everyone again?
Each class is recorded, y'all. So if you missed the first two classes or you have to jump out or jump back in, don't worry. We have recorded each class, and the videos will be available on the Everyday Projects, Blackman Photographers, and PhotoLink websites. And we do have transcription available for other languages like Spanish and French. So please take note of our information there. Follow us if you're not already. And, if you have anything that you're enjoying here, like I said, tag us in your Instagram stories, post about it on Twitter or wherever you may be. We're already seeing some of the tags come in and we're posting them. We love to see it. And please, 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 again, check out Photo Wings and their large archive of amazing videos on all facets of photography. So make sure to check out our websites, bookmark them. We will post these videos in the coming days and weeks. And again, this is season 6. So that means 5 past seasons that you can replay on topics from AI to digital and physical safety. But without further more ado, let's get started.
Yay! So to keep flowing with the nuts and bolts, brass tacks topics of the morning, Polly and I keep making the joke like, oh, it's like we planned it. But actually, this year, the sequence is like so good.
Back to back to it's like the perfect transition because in Tyler's class, there was questions about pitching when she was
Uh-huh.
talking about her journey. And then guess what? Our next speaker was all about pitching. And then in pitching class, there was questions about grants. And guess what? Two incredible people here to break
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
grants. So
So
yeah.
you are going to hear it straight from the source from the incredible Sarah Perlmutter from the Magnum Foundation and super uber talented grantee Nada Harib, who was awarded a Magnum Foundation grant for her incredibly beautiful and personal work, which we are going to see here today. They are going to so generously break down how to go about applying for grants. They'll even break down Nada's successful proposal. I mean, wow, we are really, really getting a sneak peek into oftentimes these sort of mysterious aspects of photojournalism. So we're here to demystify it and break it down for you. But before we dive in, we want to make sure you know exactly how lucky we all are to have them both by sharing some more about them. So Sarah Perlmutter is a photographer and writer based between New York City and Oakland, California. So cool, just like both of the cool cities in the US. She's a manager of communications and development at Magnum Foundation, where she works with grantees on editing, writing, and sharing their work. She previously held positions as a Radcliffe Institute research partner and Aperture work scholar and holds a degree in art, film, and visual studies from Harvard University. Harvard, no big deal. Has anybody heard of Harvard? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's cool. And joining Sarah, we also have Nada Harib, who was born and raised in Tripoli, Libya. She's an independent photographer whose practice focuses on both long-term stories and daily news in Libya and the United States. Nada is a recipient of the Arab Documentary Photography Program and Magnum Foundation grants, the Aftermath Project grant, the Mary Ellen Mark Memorial Scholarship, and was a mentee of the Seven Mentor Program. Her work has been published in outlets including Reuters, Getty, the BBC, the Washington Post, and Vogue, and has been exhibited throughout the world. Amazing. And an image. Oh, it's the blur screen. An image. Oh God, I should probably. Well, anyways, this is the Women Photograph book. And her image is on the cover. Yeah, an image from her Women of Libya series was selected as the cover for Women Photographs book, What We See. She's a graduate of ICP. She's also a contributor to Everyday Africa, Everyday Middle East, and is a member of the African Photojournalism Database. Oh my gosh, Nada, Sarah, y'all are just like experts here today. We are so lucky to have you both. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to unblur my screen and then y'all can see my aunt's living room. But this is Nada's incredible photograph, gracing the cover of this incredible book, What We See. There was a question earlier about where do I start? How do I find inspiring photographers? Well, there are a lot of amazing photo books out there. This is just one of many. So what are those photo books out there at your local library or your friend's house? Yep. All right, Nada, Sarah, take it away. Tell us, how do we do this thing called grants? Ah.
Yeah, let's do this. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction as well. Let me just share my screen. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Magnum Foundation and just some general how-tos, and then I'll try to keep it quick so we can save some time for Nada to walk us through her beautiful work and her applications. Okay, I'm getting my Zoom situation set up here. Okay, so just very quickly, I want to talk about the Magnum Foundation because I know there's a lot of photographers on here, and we have open calls that you can and should apply to. So we are a nonprofit that expands creativity and diversity in documentary photography. So we are based in New York City, but we work globally, and through grants, fellowships, and workshops and other creative collaborations, we support photographers whose work is engaging with social issues, and we provide mentorship and resources and a community through which they can expand and deepen and experiment with their work. So the link to our website and our Instagram is down there at the bottom. We actually also have a current open call for our Arab documentary photography program, which is the program that Nada participated in with us. So I will be sure to share that link to that particular open call once I'm done talking. So for folks who may be based in the Swana region, that is definitely something you should apply to. Okay, so diving into crafting a successful grant proposal. So just a few things I like to say first, just before you begin, take a deep breath. We know that this all can be super stressful, and I just want to remind you all that we are here, we are making these opportunities available, we are reading your applications because we want to learn about you and your work. We genuinely care. We love seeing what comes in. So just reminder that there are humans on the other side of these things who really are excited to see what you are up to. And so I'll add also just a reminder to you can approach these things with authenticity and openness. Again, I know that they're stressful and there may be sometimes it feels like, there is a scarcity of opportunity and you need to maybe feel like you have to twist yourself or contort to fit these things. But I would really encourage you to remember that you know who you are, you know what your work is, stay true to yourself, and then also be open to feedback and open to new ways of doing things as well. And a little bit more just from my soapbox before I get into the details. Please don't take rejection personally. We've had open calls where we get over 1,000 applications for maybe 10 or 20 spots. There's going to be amazing work, amazing photographers who we are not going to be able to support. And that is just the unfortunate nature of how this all goes and how the field is. So please don't take it personally. I really encourage you to apply again when rejected. And if rejected, just apply again and again. We have supported so many people who have, maybe been rejected 5 times, and the sixth time is when they get this opportunity. And then lastly, I would say make this a constructive experience. So even if you don't get a grant, hopefully the opportunity of reading about a sort of fellowship or thematic grant proposal, thinking about how it may suit your work, crafting a proposal, editing your work, proposing something, that can be something that is hopefully useful to you with your project and your process, beyond whether you get a grant. And then also, again, the experience of having people in the field read about your work and engage with it, that is a relationship building moment. We will remember you when we see your applications come in again or think of you for other opportunities. You may get feedback also out of this. So think holistically about what the experience of a grant can offer you. Um, Okay, so talking about writing for an application. This is a special type of writing, and what I really want to underscore is that clarity is key. So please don't make it difficult for an application reviewer just to understand some like basic information of like where you're working, what you're working about, who you're working with, why you're doing this. Again, we're excited to read about your work. We might be reading 300 applications at a time. And so hopefully we're not needing to reread 5 times or something like that to get a sense. So really try to be clear um, about what you're doing. And the first paragraph, or maybe the last paragraph, or just somewhere in your statement, having a single paragraph that kind of distills what you're doing in just a few sentences is also really helpful. We're going to read the whole thing, but also having you just tell us clearly in one moment the sort of top level summary of what you're doing is helpful. I would say avoid overly complicated academic or poetic writing. Those types of writing may have a place in your work, with your work, about your work. That's great. Include that maybe as a link or at the end of the PDF in like an excerpted fashion. For something like this, the actual sort of like section of the application where you are writing your project statement and your proposal, that is not the place for this. This is the place to just clearly articulate what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you will accomplish it, why it's a good fit for the opportunity. And I'll go into more detail in a bit about what to include in that kind of thing. And then I would also say, don't worry about whether your writing is fancy enough. I say that especially for folks who may not be native English speakers and writing applications in English. As I say here, your expertise is in your knowledge of your work. It is in your work itself. It's not about your, beautiful command of language. If you have that, great. Not really. We don't need that necessarily for this, so don't worry about that. Okay, so getting more into what you will want to include in a writing for an application. So this is kind of persuasive writing. So think about who is your audience for this and what they are looking for. And so for that, we want to know what you're doing, and we want to be sort of convinced by you that you can accomplish what you are saying you are doing. So to that end, tailor your proposal to the opportunity. Read the open call and show us that you have thought about why what you're applying to is relevant to what you're trying to accomplish and why what you are doing is relevant to what we're trying to accomplish. So if we are supporting work on a particular theme, show that what you're proposing is connected to that theme. If we're talking about a fellowship cohort and we want to bring people together to accomplish something together, show us that you're thinking about that. And show us that you kind of have the, again, like feasibility is a word that I'll use, like that you are thinking these things through. That being said, I'm saying persuasive writing, I'm saying convince us. You also don't need to like front like everything is perfect, everything's great. Like I'm speaking from, the types of things that Magnum Foundation supports specifically. Every organization's different, but we like seeing open questions. We like seeing you in progress. We're not necessarily with what our opportunities are, at least, we're normally not just supporting work that's like done and published. We're looking to craft an opportunity for you where you can further develop, refine, experiment with things. And so we like seeing that you are thinking things through too. Okay, I'm just gonna take a sip of water. Okay. This I would say is a good slide to potentially screenshot if you are so inclined, as like a good checklist of things to include in your actual proposal section. So things just top like points to hit. So first, showing knowledge of the topic, geography, community, politics, conflicts. So just demonstrating that you have knowledge, you've done research, or you have lived experience with what the project you are working on is about. Explain why you. So why do you want to make this work? What is your connection to it? Why are you well suited to it? What types of work have you done in the past that are relevant to it? Why do you feel like you can accomplish it? Um, Explain why now. So both why is this topic important now, but also why are you choosing to do this now? Why are you in a good position to it? Why is this sort of the phase you are at with your work? Um, and I'll just say for both those two things, like the sort of answers to those questions sometimes might come from, yeah, experience and background professionally. It might also come from like personal lived experience, and both those things are really great. Describe the creative approach, why it will be effective, unique. So tell us how you're going to be accomplishing this. How are you telling this story? Whether it's ideas or something that's already in progress, give us a sense of what tools within photography, within the field more broadly, you'll be using to do this. Articulate the questions and problems you will explore. So not just the higher level topic, community, or place, but also how you will be approaching that, what sort of threads you'll be pulling on. Demonstrate feasibility. So it's just like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to get there? Do you have the ability to get there? Have you done this type of work before? Is the timeline that you're proposing relevant to the timeline of the grant? Describe your plans for positioning the work in the world. So this, not just producing the work, but also thinking about what happens next with it. And that can include, yeah, like bigger media outlets and things like that, but it can also include, and we love to see this, like, how are you going to bring this work to the community that it's actually about and relevant to? What are ways you're thinking of that kind of thing? Explain how this work will contribute to society, to the field of photography. I realize this might be like a scary question just to see like how will my work contribute to society? Like that's a lot, but it's just a prompt for you to be thinking about these things. And, I would say relevance can be defined in so many ways. So it being relevant to you or to your community, that is a way of having relevance more broadly as well. Okay, so just a few more things. Images and budget. So images are there. So use that section to convince the reader that you can accomplish what you promised in the proposal narrative. So whether that's previous work or, ideally, but not always the case, existing work on the project, you're showing us that you can do what you propose. So that could be showing us that you have the like tools in your toolkit of visual strategies, and also that you maybe have already been working on this topic, that you have work about this that we can see you doing already. With your sequence, with your edit, focus on storytelling. So offer a narrative rather than just singles. Think about if you're talking about different approaches that you'll be taking, offering those range of approaches, different types of image and subjects within what you're including. A very, very practical thing, please upload images at a reasonable file size and format. Like in a very literal sense, don't make it hard for us to see your work. If you are including a link, make sure it's live, make sure the permissions are set. We want to see your work. We really do. And we don't also have endless time when we're looking at a lot of proposals. So we're going to do our best, but if the file won't load, it's frustrating for us, and I'm sure it's frustrating for you. So just please take that into consideration. And then budget. So use the budget as an opportunity again to demonstrate feasibility. You're thinking about this. You've thought these things through. You have a rough plan of how you're going to accomplish things. Use real numbers. Using real numbers helps. So even if actual amounts will change, plans will change according to real world events, whether you get the grant, etc. Showing us you thought these things through is really helpful. So here's just a quick example. So there are some expenses like transportation, accommodation, equipment, other things. If you're working with a collaborator, you can include like a fee for them here. Details, so explaining how you've gotten to this number, and then sort of more information about why this is there. So explaining why this is on there. I need to get to this city, or I need film for this. And then this also includes a creative fee. So we have expenses, and here this indicates they'd be advanced on the agreement, but then also a fee. So being compensated for your work that you are doing. What the creative fee is can vary, but I think a good rule of thumb that you can keep in mind is $200 to $300 a day. That being said, there's a lot of like really amazing photographers on this call who maybe also can offer their own rule of thumbs that might be different from this one. But what I'm generally saying though is be sure to include a fee for yourself. And just before I leave images and budgets, what I'll say is like read the guidelines of the individual opportunity carefully. They might tell you exactly sort of what they want for these things, whether they want a past project, current project, file format, budget, whatever they want in there. Read those things carefully, ask questions as well if you don't know. Okay, and so my last few things, just some general tips. So read the open call carefully. Much like crafting a proposal, writing an open call is an art, and we're not always going to get it perfect, but we do put a lot of thought into what goes there. We're including information for a reason. We're trying to articulate what we are looking for, what we're asking for you. So read it carefully, and read it a few times. I'll also say fight imposter syndrome. So as much as I say read the open calls, think like consider how you actually apply to it. Also, please apply even if you don't meet 100% of the qualifications. I think many of us know the feeling of like excluding ourselves automatically from these things. Please apply. The worst that can happen is you are told no. Ask questions. Email. We on our open calls, we put a contact email. If you have a question, email us. Read the open call first in case that question's already answered there, but email us. So if you are unsure if your project is meets criteria, like you feel like the theme is really relevant to you, but you have this one line of the criteria that you're not sure you meet or whatever, ask a question. If there's a technical issue, any sort of like issue with the interface, email the question. If you maybe have two projects you're considering, you're unsure, ask the question. We'll do our best to respond according to volume. Although I will say, like, get your questions in early. So look at the open call early, copy the questions onto a document early, get a sense of what's needed, and ask those questions early because if they come in right at the deadline, we probably won't be able to answer them. So that sort of covers the manage your time section there. Just try to start these things early as you can. Um, have a friend read your application. So just they don't need to be experts in this field. They don't need to be in this field. But having someone just take a read through and highlight things that maybe are confusing or unclear, asking questions is a really great idea. I'm repeating this here because I really believe it. If you get rejected, apply again. If a grant making organization gives you feedback on your application, which we always love to do, but we also often can't do just because of volume. But if you get feedback through this process, take it into consideration. Be open to what this process can give you overall. So, um, you know, if you get rejected, apply again. Maybe don't apply with the exact same thing. Show that you are continuing to work and develop your thinking. And then lastly, again, yeah, make it a constructive experience. You can get a lot out of these opportunities beyond the grant, although obviously, hopefully you're getting the grant, but hopefully the experience is something that is adding to how you think about your work, building relationships, setting up future opportunities for yourself. So with that, I'll stop. I know I talk really fast, so if there's anything, I try to slow down, but if there's anything that you didn't catch there, please chime in. And I will pass to Nada now.
Hey Sarah, thank you so much. And hi everyone. Thank you, Danielle and Polly for this class. Um, yeah, I would love also to comment about this. Like I applied for the Aftermath project like 3 times, and each year, like I found myself, oh, I need to articulate my proposal. Like, so I didn't take it like personally. Yes, I cried, of course, like all of us, but it helps. It helps each year, and the years like passes like very fast. And also every time you go out, every time the experience get more evolved, and you learn more about your own project because it's very hard also to talk about your own your own story. And yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. I really learned a lot of the things I learned too. So, okay, I'm gonna share my presentation, my simple one. So this is my unearth, my and yeah. Um, I started my project that I didn't know that it was a project, to be honest. I started from 2018 and starting off from my homeland in Libya, capturing in the Amazigh tradition women of Libya. And then in 2019, exactly when the war started, the tyrant that controlling most of the country, trying to capture Tripoli, where I live, on exactly on 7 April 2018. Um, I was like trying my best to focus on women, on my series of women of Libya, and then but the war started. I was like, I can't focus. Like I really got distracted by what's going on, and then when the war ended, I was like, I have to go out, I have to take pictures, I have to pause my series and focusing right now on what is going on. And so this is an earth. It is about my homeland Libya, and I also intertwine my autobiography or my being as a photojournalist. To be honest, before that maybe I wasn't even um, I had no clue about photojournalism before 2018. Literally, I was thinking only about journalism, but I didn't know the existence of photojournalism. After that, like a friend helped me and shared with me some stories. I was like, oh, we can do that. We can be storyteller and we can share like I was like digging in, learning like Sarah Terry. I'm still shocked, of course, of our dear Sarah Terry and the loss of her amazing being and human. That she's one of the photojournalists that really, really inspired me to make stories. Um, so yeah, so the Unearth is about uh, documenting the aftermath of being under the dictatorship, Gaddafi time till revolution, and then the country went through civil war, and then the new tyrant. Um, like after the war on Tripoli, I was like going out to the field, focusing many different aspects, and then after that, like after documenting, um, sorry, I have to go through the photos. So yeah, I was like documenting the massacre that happened in Tarhuna, which is just like 1 hour away from Tripoli, and then uh, Tripoli got bombed by um, the militias and the dictator Haftar, who tried to capture Tripoli. And then I was like going around the cities and everything. I was like, no, this is a project. This is important to work on it. This is me as Libyan before, as a photojournalist going. Um, just a second. Yeah. You know, uh, like as Libyan going through atrocity, the genocide, the massacre, the bombs, like all mixed feelings, and how, and also this project like got evolved, like having flashbacks how we used to live military uniform in our school, and after revolution things changed. These are maybe certain stories that really affected me as Libyan, like before we don't know personally, or maybe I can talk most of Libyans or some that we didn't know what's going on before during Gaddafi. We know he's bad, but after the revolution, it hits me like sometimes you have to know understand your own country before doing story. To have experience, Um, yeah, I mean, um, so I've been documenting uh, everything around me, and then after I documented the title itself, "An Earth," created by after I had this really sensitive experience. And why is I call it an earth? Because also, as Libyan, it's very hard for Libyan to go and live with Libyans, and it really um, like a lot of Libyans, like when they see me like documenting going to other cities, living with some families, they're like, "Are you from here? Are you from where are you from?" They keep telling me, I'm really from Libya. I'm from here. I'm Libyan. My mom's Libyan. They're not like believing that there's Libyan like going and living other families' places. And yeah, if I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna take the whole the whole hour. So I just want to break um, down I mean, this is my proposal description that I applied for the Aftermath project. Um, but I want to point out, based on my experience, because each story has own story, own points that it needs to be focused on. But my story here, that I focused on my historical and political background, that I'm Libyan. I went through this horrible phase of life that I wasn't even aware of. Like, I know that this part of paragraph is very important, that during Gaddafi we could not document what's happening, and because everything was filtered out by Gaddafi and the images of Gaddafi. And it hit me also, like whenever I travel and go around the world, and even till today, like when I've been asked like where I'm from, I tell I'm from Libya, and they're still mentioning, oh, Gaddafi. So this is the first thing that hit me, that really inspired me and pushed me to go out and take pictures. Not only the beauty of Libya, because Libya is so beautiful, like we have really amazing, from tradition and geography and the lands and everything. But at the same time, I really wanted to focus the reality of what's going on. um, so I had um like it was like very like urgent to document. Yeah. And also like to show the funder, for example, how I am the witness. I'm Libyan more than just photojournalist, that I have to tell my story. And also here, like I want to focus here, like as I mentioned, that I worked on Libyan women of Libya, but when the war started and after that, I put it aside. I was like, I need to focus the reality and the changing. I mean, don't be afraid. Like when for example, after the war in 2022, I applied for ADPP, the Arab Documentary Photography Program that is sponsored by Magnum Foundation. I got a grant through Women of Libya, but when the program started, I told them I can't. I need to finish the Unearth. So they allowed me to change it. So sometimes, even though you get this grant and there are some slight, like it depends on the situation of your country, sometimes they accept you to change the story based on the situation. Because imagine there's like a war and aftermath, a lot of sensitive stories going on, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna focus on women, the beauty of women. Like you have to go out and take pictures of the reality around you, because things change. I moved out to New York in 2022 to study in ICP. um, I go back uh, with the help of the aftermath project, and I went back to the places I photographed. Everything changed, like everything, like the places where that got bombed, I photographed it. The people started to forget. There is a new generation, new like. It's crazy how things change very fast. So it was like I have to photograph now during um, yeah, the ADPP program, and the mentors really helped me to shape the Unearth project. And then with the Unearth project, after the program, I continued to photograph um, the story, and then yeah, and then um, what? Okay, what should I say now? Oh my God. Sorry. Sometimes it's very hard to
You're
talk.
totally fine. You're doing great.
Yeah. So it's very important also, like to be as a witness, as a Libyan or as a civilian. Let's say that. Let's say not say a photojournalist, just Libyan or civilians to witnessing the aftermath of the humanitarian crisis. Um, yeah. Yeah. So, and then, like, I started, for example, with my proposal, like telling how Libya for me was mystery. And then after that, I realized what is happening around me. And then after that, it hit me the reality that Libya went through many difficult times. I focused on like documenting the traces of these phases of life, and everything like these events I photographed, everything linked to one another, because even us as Libyans, we don't know each other. I realized that like we go to other cities, like literally like I myself learned about other cities and they learned about me. Um, and also like for example this, okay, like the impact of this project, it's good for like people around the world to know about Libya, not only about Gaddafi or the image of Gaddafi, but also Libyans themselves. Sometimes there are people like that don't accept the reality, and also they don't know the beauty of Libya. So, and also it encouraged them to make stories, because I saw some photographers like during the war or after the war, they didn't go out to photograph what's going on. It really like ached me that they should see the reality or show the reality. They call it like it's political thing, but sometimes not everything is political. Just, be human, go out, see what's going on, take pictures to understand, and also to show the people, to make them understand what's going on. And I want to do that, like as I mentioned before, like whenever I travel outside, I've never seen like I went through photo books of many bookstore. I didn't see anything about Libya, like photo books. And it really like inspired me to do, no, I have to do photo book about Libya. How come they don't know about it? Even the neighboring countries, they always mention like Egypt, Morocco, all neighboring country, but Libya, nothing. Like everything about Gaddafi, and it's still today. That's the funny part. Um, so yeah, that's the I think that's the important thing about the funder, to know that this is now. I have to document now. This is very important for internationally, and also for the society, for my country too, for my own people too. Um, yeah, and here I mentioned the synopsis. I didn't mention like at the beginning, as I said, I just told the story in a very, as Sarah said, literally what really stopped me many times to apply for grants is to have lofty language, elegant language. I was really scared to use, simple language. I was like, yeah, why not? Why I cannot just use just simple language? Um, like yeah. I mean, so. And yeah, as I said, oh, and also started mentioned about some grants they ask for, like we need to know the number of budget, and the payment, and so, but some grants they don't ask. They just want uh to know, what are you up to? What is your commitment? What is your goal? What is, like in my situation, I was in New York. I told the Aftermath grant, I'm going to Libya this fall, which is last year. I'm going there. I'm going to finish the project. The funder needs to know also that you're going to finish it, not just make it longer. And then they would say, oh, then let's make it maybe in maybe 2 years, you're going to apply again, and we can give her the grant, or so, or sometimes it depends on the funder to, like when I applied 3 years ago, there was war in on Ukraine, and I didn't get it because they're like prioritize, um other photojournalists than the story of Libya, for example. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, if you guys asking, maybe it helped me also to
Yeah,
focus what I need to say.
no, this has been so great. And I'm just saying your photos, I see some comments here in the chat, are just so powerful. Just such incredible, important work that you're doing. And Sarah, your simple, like the way you broke down like this complex, I feel like overwhelming. Like I keep saying that about each class, but it's true. Like grants is just something that so many people struggle with. And just thank you for simplifying it for us as somebody who, administrates grants, reviews grants. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have so many great questions coming in. And again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. We will try to ask as many as possible. We may go a little bit over time if that's okay with you too, just so we can try to tackle these because I know some of these questions will take longer to answer. But I think let's just get back to the basics real quick. For you, Nada, do you have a grant tracker? How do you even keep yourself organized with finding these grants, for the timelines to apply, the deadlines? I mean, as Sarah mentioned, applying early is always helpful because if there are questions or issues that arise and you apply the last minute, it's so hard for the person to actually be able to help you and get back to you. So, Nada, how do you keep yourself organized? How do you find these grants? And do you have some type of tracker or way to stay organized?
No, I'm not a good organizer, to be honest.
No, I love your transparency though. I love it. I love it.
Like many photographers, like I'm a mess. Like literally, like I saw also the Aftermath project. Uh, Someone shared in the story. I was like, oh, this is so my. I would love to apply for this grant. Um, yeah, I mean, it happens to me like with the stories, or sometimes I just remember it, or sometimes like I write it down. Oh, this okay, it's gonna be on May, so I have to prepare myself for this grant. Like it's very hard for me. Like I have like certain grants to apply, like Magnum Foundation, the Aftermath project. I can't like focus in many many grants, and it just based on what goes with your grant. And also I myself, like any photographer, it's very hard for me to work on my photographs. I got help. I got feedbacks. I honed them some photojournalists, like especially it helps being here in ICP, and I saw many like teachers. They helped me also to evolve my work, and it's very helpful to get help. It's very very important, to be honest. And sometimes like I see someone and go, oh, did you should apply for this. She should apply for that. So if you're organized, that's amazing. You're better than me. You know what I'm saying?
No, I appreciate your honesty. And also one thing that you were super honest about in the very beginning is how you applied for the Aftermath project like 5 times, right? I think that's what you said. It took you
Three
five
times, yeah.
3 times? Okay, okay. Sorry about that. It took you 3 times to apply, and most people they honestly give up after their first time. And so when you applied for those 3 different times, did you tailor your application, your proposal differently? Was it a different grant? How do you go about that in making sure, I guess it is successful? Like how did you approach that? And for Sarah on the other side, when you see somebody, who was rejected before and they reapply, because I feel like sometimes you get to know people's names through these processes, do you often see that they're using the same proposal or do they tweak it? Like what would you recommend on the other side? Because sometimes, they're rejected not because it was a bad proposal, just because, like you said, there's just so much talent and it's so hard to, obviously you can't award everyone. So for your two, perspectives, what advice would you recommend there? Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend showing continued work and thinking about it. So if you got feedback on the last round, I would say like show that you've considered that feedback and um whatever that may be. And if you didn't get feedback, I think it's just showing, and that can look like a lot of different ways. What does it mean to be showing continued work and thinking? There might be hurdles to actually producing more work, but ideally you are showing that you're continuing to work, that your writing has reflected, developed different thinking, not necessarily asking you to radically transform it at all, but if you're submitting the exact same thing over and over again, we want to see that you're still working these things through, that you're growing with it. It might be that you were just like not at the right moment for the opportunity. That happens all the time, that someone's just not at the right moment for the opportunity. Other times it's just like, we have a limited cohort and we're putting together a community and we can only have so many people in there. So but yeah, at the very minimum, it's just that you are still working and continuing with it.
Yeah, like each time I apply for the grant, like the aftermath is different. My words also is different. Like I got, as I said, the articulation to articulate your project is very hard, and every time I got rejected, maybe I should say that. Maybe I should focus on this part more. Um, and also as I mentioned, it depends also on the funders' interest. It have like the war on Ukraine that I mentioned that time it was Ukraine war and I was like applying for it. They prioritized this than me. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, like the Aftermath project, to be honest, it wasn't that complicated. There wasn't like a lot of like questions, a lot of like detail. They just want to know your story. Uh, what is your goal? What is your commitment? Uh, maybe that's yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, no, that's very helpful. Danielle.
Yeah, sure. I was just thinking, I was like, wow, I think this might be the most questions we've ever had. And I'm just looking, full transparency, Polly and I keep a separate like Google Doc where we copy and paste questions coming in. And I'm just like, whoa, there are so many. But we're going to do our best, like Polly said. So this is a question that comes up a lot actually with this topic. It's sort of like the chicken or the egg, like how do I start a project? Especially for photographers kind of first starting off, like how do I start a project if I don't have the funding, and how do I get the funding if I don't start the project, right? And that kind of goes, so I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts on that, but specifically an answer from the question from the audience was, a lot of grants require a letter of interest from newsrooms or editors. So how do you do that? Like, do you have any advice for obtaining one as a newcomer? Yeah, so both of you sort of like from the perspective of a funder and the perspective of a photographer, kind of for those like just starting off and you're trying to get started, but it's like a little rickety because it's like you have to have like something to start with, you know?
Those
Too
are,
hard. Let's move
yeah,
on.
no, that's very, I mean, I really want to hear from Nada, who's the, practitioner who's applying to grants here, but maybe I can just say like two quick things on my mind when I hear that. First one is like grants are not the only way to support your work. They're a great way to support your work, but they're not the only way. And so I think, and hearing Nada speak just now, I was so struck by like just the strength and coherence and connection of her work. I gave a bunch of tips about how to fill out an application, but I think at the end of the day, the like knowing your work, having a connection to your own creativity and way of working that you feel like you need to do, regardless of whether someone else is giving you the like rubber stamp that you should do it, I think is something to like really hold on to. And so, yeah, grants are ideal. It's easier. It's better. It's for your time. It's nicer to get a grant than to have to find another way to, work and support it. But I think just, yeah, to the extent possible, also not waiting. The part about, I think, the newsroom question, I mean, we don't require that for our grants. What I would say is like portfolio reviews and applying to those are a great way to make connections with editors, rather than just applying cold to someone you don't know, like investing and building those relationships over time as well would be what I would suggest.
Yeah, and Nanda, I know that you have talked, about your journey, but maybe if you could just more specifically or expand on like what did you do when you were first starting out, like, again, that sort of predicament or conundrum that we get into as early career photographers, like how do I even start if I need something to start with, but I don't have the funds to get it started, right?
Everything happens like by chance, to be honest. Like everything, like I was at the beginning of my career. I was like lost, like from learning about myself as a photojournalist or storyteller, or learning about my own country, or learning how to follow the rules of being storyteller, the moral, the everything. Like I just started with my hometown, and then uh, the simple draft with the series of women of Libya. It was more general than specific. uh, like all storytellers that struggling at the beginning. I'm not sure if I understand your question, to be honest. Like
Well,
um
I think it's one of those eternal questions because it is so hard to answer when you're first starting off. But I think Nada, you've shared a lot of great tips on that. Like, just start small. I think sometimes when we take this path of, visual storytelling and we're at the sort of beginning, we see, as a visual person, it's like the New York Times, Magnum Foundation, they seem so like big and unattainable, and like how do I get there? It like seems so like you can't reach it. But I think if you just narrow your focus, look down, start small, just start taking pictures, just start getting in your community.
yeah, yeah,
So I think you've answered it, but yeah,
yeah,
I think
this is what happened to me. Like at the beginning, I was like lost. What am I gonna do? I think first of all, you have to learn your own surroundings, your own country. And then things when I started to publish my work and people around the world started to see my work, I got really like it's not something they can reach out to you if they see your work, especially your work, not as me as Nada. I think it's more important to focus on the work itself, to go out, and then people will see, this is her project, this is her consistency, like capturing, not only just talk, 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 and then okay, well, what's the point talking about there is no work out there. And after that, when people like saw my work out there, like especially with the series of Women of Libya, and then I started to document, I got assignments like people reach out to me and saying, could you make this story? Could you like I got sometimes assignments here and there. I don't think nothing is impossible. Just start. The fear of starting is always scary, but just do it, whatever. There's like this life is short. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just do it, even though if you're not ready or you're scared or whatever, just go out and take pictures. Even though it's war, just continue. What are you doing? This is I think this is the most important part. Not like focusing on one story and then, oh, okay, I did this story. That's it. You know what I'm saying? You just go out.
Yeah, just getting started. And oftentimes, like what Sarah mentioned, I loved what you said, thinking holistically about what the experience of a grant can offer you. Because I've definitely, noticed sometimes like every time you apply for something or pitch, you're thinking about your work, you're putting it down on paper. And I have definitely noticed sometimes when I've applied for a contest or a grant that I don't receive, but then I saw that, an editor at X publication was a judge, and then like they contact me for an assignment. So it's a great way to not only hone your message, to take an introspective look at your own work and what you're doing and what's working and what's not, but you're getting your name out there. Like Nada said, like she just started doing it and putting it, and then from that, it's going to build, right? So sometimes it takes a while to build, but you'll get there. You just got to keep going. So, broken record of the weekend. Keep going, keep trying. We still have a lot of questions though. So I'm going to take one from the chat from a wonderfully talented photographer. She says, you talked about pausing and coming back to your project or redirecting. How do you manage to move forward? I have a couple of projects that are on hold for different reasons, and sometimes I feel bad for not being able to do them right away, and I worry it's going to be too late afterwards. So have you encountered that in your own work, Nada? How have you navigated that?
Yeah, I have many stories around it, and it's my hard drive. They're still living in my hard drive, but I feel it's very important to focus what is the most that make sense now, right now. Like Unearth is right now. I need to focus on this. I feel these stories, like what you did, for example, you can go back to it, but for me, like Unearth is like I need to focus on this. I need to apply with this project, with these grants. And now after I got the aftermath project, I feel like okay, I have other stories that is in my hard drive. I need to apply and articulate the other projects that I've been pausing it. So it's fine to go back. And if you're in a country like I need to go back to Libya and continue what I started and pausing these projects. Yeah, I mean. And yeah, and the most important part is, to be honest, is to be true to your story, to be authentic, not just, uh, for example, if this grant talks about this, and people got the grants because they made stories of this and becomes a trend. So I'm gonna do this because other people got this grant. No, there are other grants. There are other grants that really want your project. Um, so yeah, don't there are like in the right time, in the right place. You know what I'm saying? Being real is very, very important than just, publish or I apply for any, grant. Yeah.
Yes, say it louder for the people in the back. That is such good advice and just reminds me of when I was starting, a decade-long project. People would tell me that, oh, don't do that. Nobody cares about that. Everybody has a project on that. It's just trendy, da 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 da. And I remember thinking, literally everyone around me, editors, esteemed photographers are telling me, why are you doing this? But I was like, no, I want to say something different about this. I want to do this differently. And even if people don't understand what I'm doing, that's okay. Like, like you said, the work is what matters. And then 10 years later, it's like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. So I love that you said that. Be true to yourself, be true to the story. Like, oh, gives me the chills. Yes, amazing. Okay, we'll get back to
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please,
I
Sarah.
just
Yeah.
want to chime in one
Another
thing
question
there. I
for
think
you.
like grants are great. Grants are also like a tool. They're not the end game. So I think at the end of the day, like, and it's also just it's a scarce resource. This is an underfunded field. And so I would say I would ask yourself, yes, having money to support work is amazing. Apply for things to do that. That it's needed, it's necessary. We try to provide that. Is your goal though to become really great at getting grants and just have that be your sort of like cycle of things and collecting those? Again, I know it's easy for me to say that when I know they're necessary and needed. Or, but also staying true, is your goal to like make work that you feel deeply passionate about it and have audiences that you care about see that work? Because I think if that's your goal, like finding ways to stay connected to that and then use grants as a tool for that, but not have them be the like end all be all of what you're doing. Um, because that there might be other tools that can also serve you well. You don't need to wait for a rubber stamp from an institutional gatekeeper to be doing these things, whether it's making work or distributing it. It might be harder, yes, and like that's a whole set of conversations, but also like staying connected to what you're doing is really important. And I think also is a way to feel like you have agency in these systems as well, because as I said, it's easy for me to say, don't take it personally when you get rejected, but it can also be really defeating when you're not being funded and supported by these systems. So I think remembering them as a tool, and I see someone asking what are other tools, like, there are like, you can create your own like platforms and outlets for sharing things. You can share things within communities. Yes, it's a tougher route to do it, but you can like work other jobs to fund your work. You can find lower budget ways of doing your work that maybe don't are not your like higher ideal goals for it. And again, like there's an issue of what are the things available in the field that it's, hard if it becomes yours personally to navigate, but just a reminder that the rubber stamp of these grants shouldn't be the goal and the end of things.
Hmm. Yes, preach, preach, preach. And it kind of is like similar to a question I think from the previous class about, oh gosh, what was it? But it was basically, again, just like start small, right? And
Mhm.
other tools like think outside of the box, right? Not necessarily the traditional route that we all think of like success as, right? Like, and we've done a lot of sessions too on like how to have a diversified, practice and income stream. So again, check out, those videos on our website. So I'm gonna go specific, one quick question for you, Sarah, and then Polly's got a few more, and then we're gonna round up. There's so many questions, and you guys are a wealth of information, so we really appreciate all your time. Quickly, is it pretty, it's pretty daunting to hear that y'all are looking, this, Sarah, this is for you, at thousands of applications. Is there anything people can do to make sure their application is seriously considered? And on that, are there any common mistakes that you see when, journalists, when people are applying for grants? So basically do's and don'ts, I think, is what we're asking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I don't want to make it so daunting. Um, I don't think there's a one trick, like there's not one hard and fast rule. I think like I tried to outline in the presentation general things. I would say like make sure you're filling out all the information and following directions, like really just like practically giving people a chance to see your work. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think yeah, it's like this is a hard answer maybe, but just like staying authentic to what you're doing and honest. And I guess if I were to like boil it down to mistake, I would say just like not giving yourself the chance to put your best foot forward. So give yourself time to do it. Have someone look at it, ask for help. Not even applying because you're scared. Like give yourself the opportunity to be available for this. Um, and yeah, files that load and work are also really great.
Okay, I know I said I had just one question and then Polly, your turn. But on the comment of files, someone who's just starting off, total new photographer asked, what are some examples of reasonable file sizes and formats? I imagine that might be something y'all include, but just want to address that.
Yeah, I mean, I think normally we include that. Most places include that. If we don't, I'm making myself a note to do that. I would say like a good rule of thumb would be JPEGs rather than TIFF files or like Photoshop files. PDFs can also work. And then I would say like keep it to the like I don't know. I would say under 10 megabytes, max 20 megabytes. Don't go for like hundreds of megabytes for an application. It's just going to be hard to load. Definitely no gigabytes.
Thank you for that. And I do see other questions about, non-photojournalism grants, and there are so many grants out there that aren't just tied to specific projects like being a photojournalist or, heavy news or documentary work. So please do research. I dropped some resources in the chat, like there's different newsletters from hyperallergic, colossal. Somebody else dropped Photo Room. They do monthly curation of different grant opportunities, artist residencies, you name it, whatever artist opportunity there's there. They curate the list, those staffs, and put out monthly newsletters of different opportunities each month and their deadlines and the budget, and there's an application fee or whatever it may be. And even just, some of the, communities we've mentioned. I mean, at Black Women Photographers, our grants are pretty unrestricted in terms of like what it has to be about, what the project can be about. We awarded projects based off of, so many different things from heavy news to even lighter stuff. I mean, just last year, somebody was awarded a $5,000 grant about her project on women in sports. That's a huge topic right now, the rise of women's sports and the rise of the attention and the support it's getting. We awarded her a project on that. This year, we awarded a project on this person who's documenting, taking family portraits of people, families who have children that are autistic or have disabilities, and we awarded her a project to do those free portraits for those families. So it doesn't have to be just heavy news or documentary work. There's so many grants out there for different, things, and that can be unrestricted in nature as well. And somebody else mentioned about photo books. And guess what? We did a class about photo books and get how to get your funding, how to get your book project, your photo book funded. It was two different folks who joined us for that class, and one person shared her experience about self-funding her photo book, and another person shared her experience about how she applied for grants and got that funded. So we have so many great resources from our past classes that you can replay. But with the limited time we do have, I have another question in terms of just the do's and don'ts, Sarah. Some, projects require a budget proposal. Can you give a little bit more breakdown of like what they should include and what they shouldn't, how detailed it should be? And somebody else also asked, when you are, considering somebody's grant, how much, I guess, research do you do on the person who's submitting? Do you just like go based off of that application there, or do you go and check out their social media, or maybe check out their reputation or whatever it may be? Like, how much does that factor in when you're considering awarding somebody a grant?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to answer the second question first, it kind of depends. I think typically it's more like as we'll review what you send us. And so we may look at more. But typically we're starting from there. And then as maybe we get into deeper rounds, we'll either ask for more information or look for more information, trying to get a sense of, other work you may have done. Um, for the budget, I can just maybe quickly share again that slide. Oh, sorry, can I have the permission again to do that? Or I can also talk through. Can you remind me of the specifics of the budget question just again?
Yes, it was just like the do's and don'ts and how detailed it should be, or
Right.
any common mistakes with that.
Okay. I mean, I think do's and don'ts. Do's, I would say, just show that you're thinking through actual things you'll be spending money on. So, like it's a place to demonstrate feasibility, I think was the main point I was making. So if your project involves you going someplace, show that you've looked up the actual cost of traveling there. If you're using materials and construct, I don't know, like if if it includes a pop-up installation in a community, show that you've thought through what all those costs that go along with that are. It's really going to vary project by project what you need to include depending on what you're doing and what the type of opportunity is. And then level of detail, let me see if I can now share. Oh, sorry, it's not letting me, but I think I can, level of detail is really like item line amount and then how you got to that amount. So if transportation's 1,000, break it down trip by trip and then explain what those trips are and why you're doing them, and just at like a high level of like, this transportation is for me to get to this place. This is the place that I'm going for the work. If you have, X amount of materials, maybe just give a rough sense of how you arrived there. If you're giving a creative fee, helpful to have some sense of like how you got there. Like, I'm anticipating this many days of work, so this is the rate that I'm doing for that.
Thank you. And don't worry, y'all. This is being recorded, and the slides she shared earlier, you can just go back and replay and hit pause. If you didn't screenshot, you could just hit pause and review them again. And so, this question here is for you, Nada. I love this question. As an independent documentary photographer from Libya, I often find myself competing for grants against artists with institutional support or larger teams. How can someone like me, working independently and from a region with limited access to resources, make a grant proposal compelling enough to stand out internationally?
Oh, sorry. Hi, Mira. I love your work. I love your Mira made a story of her parents' story being blind, and it's amazing how she captured them. Um, um, it's very hard, to be honest, as Libyan to photograph Libya as a woman too. I'm really happy for her work. I think Mira is like like um I've people there in Libya, a lot of them, like in terms of access, for example, right? She's asking, okay, I need to add. I'm
Yes, yes,
sorry, I got lost.
you're totally fine. The question, oh, I just lost it myself. Let me go back to it.
We're so fast with this Q&A.
Yeah. Okay.
As an independent documentary photographer from Libya, I often find myself competing for grants against artists with institutional support or larger teams. How can someone like me, working independently and from a region with limited access to resources, make a grant proposal compelling enough to stand out internationally?
Yeah, just I mean, your work is amazing. You have your own voice, you have your own story. This is what stand out. Like as Libyan, as a woman who made this story with her own family, and I think this is what stands out the most. Um, and your project is unique. My project is unique. Um, Limited, yes, I understand. Like the access is very, very, very hard in Libya, but it's not impossible. Like it takes forever. Some people here, like they get access for one day. I get in Libya, I get access for months. Like I literally wasted, not wasted, like all investing like months and months to get just one access, and dealing with Libyans is not easy, to be honest. Libya is amazing and so, but because of the impact of what happened to us, it's very hard to get trust, for example, to get this access. But there are ways, like for example, I make things like simpler. I'm a photographer. I'm making story of my homeland, and would love to help me. People help there if you just make it in a language that don't make it like as it sounds like you're a photojournalist working in the media. At the same time, we don't lie. Like I just you know um make it simple so people like give you access, for example. um I don't know, it depends. It depends a bit. There are many situations happen there, many, like some people help, some people not, some people, like it's very, very challenging. um
And honestly, I really love what you're saying here, and especially what you said, Danielle, about the project you were working on for 10 years, and people were like, "Why are you doing this?" And trying to, like, you know, I feel like so often sometimes when you the good part about sharing your project or what you're working on, obviously you can get that support. But then also the bad side of things is like people try to project whatever fears they have onto you and the work that you're doing. And you have to sometimes like silence those voices, those doubts that creep in from others or from yourself. And really, like you're saying, trust your voice because you have a story to tell, and who better to tell it than you? And so I really, really am valuing what you're saying there. And on that same note, with the work that you're doing, we have two questions here about like, some of the work that you've done. How do you decide, when a project is finished? Like, how hard is it for you to put that final stop, especially for something that's so deeply personal to you? And on the flip side, for somebody who's working on something, the person here said it's like much more fluffier. It's like I think it was a wedding and portrait project. What advice would you have for them for when they're starting out and creating that project from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most hardest thing that I think it depends on like when I go back to Libya, I had many contacts that people helped me to get access, and when I get back to it, I stayed like for almost 4 months, and the grant really really helped me like in terms of staying there and expensive, blah blah blah. Um, it's this project is kind of I tell myself it's a chapter to close on. This is the phase that I need to focus on, like these traces that I need to follow up. But at the same time, and also what they shared is just a few photos. There are more, like there are archives, there are my diary, there are like it's very very huge. And it just because we have limited time, I just shared just 15 photos. Um, yeah, I mean, I felt so like when I went there, I just realized that okay, this phase of this chapter is done, but there are other chapters. Like for me, I decide to do it like as a chapter. Now I'm going to focus on photo book of this chapter. This is my now I'm hunting down with getting published and getting grants of publishing my book. And also I shared also some editors and tell them, can you see my work? Is it done? Do you feel it's done? Yeah, it's done. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it helps also to make people see your work and see the sequencing of your work and feels like the feeling of this unearth is done is because if we're gonna open it, it will be like endless.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So true. I mean, man, it's always so, so hard to wrap up a class. It really is because like all of you guys just are just so, insightful and has a wealth of knowledge. I just want to thank you both for your time today. I know how busy you two are, so thank you, thank you, thank you for breaking down such a hard topic of grants. Any closing thoughts from either of you before we wrap up?
Well,
Is it
you
advice?
both.
Sorry, it broke up.
Yeah, sorry. Any
Oh,
closing thoughts or last piece of advice from either of you?
start, Sarah.
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you both for putting this on and for making all these things more accessible. I think it can be such a sort of confusing, unclear thing of how to do this. And so opportunities like this are a great way for people to learn about things. And I think I'm a broken record, but just like keep going, and stay true to what you're doing and ask for help and ask questions. The field is hard, like that's the reality of it, but staying true to like what you feel connected to about it, in like a bigger sense is good, I would say. And then also for grants too, because it's like a hard process and both for the success of your grant, but then also for your overall, you know, well-being and creative life. I think good to hold on to the why and what of you're doing.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. That's what I want. Not know what you got.
We've all been there when we had those moments. I've been there where I had that moment when I wanted to give up. So yes, yes, yes. Can't say that enough. And how about you, Nada?
Uh, it's hard. It's not easy. Nothing is easy. You just
Yeah.
keep what you're doing. Be authentic.
Mhm.
period. Be authentic. Be like, if you didn't get this grant, there's the next one, there's the next one. The years fly very fast, whatever, just focus on what you're doing. I myself, I didn't have, before this grant, I didn't have anything. Like, camera was broken in Libya before I come here. My laptop was very slow. So don't make these things like pull you back. Just continue what you're doing, even though with a small nothing camera, whatever. I'm going to Libya this year, and I didn't have any equipment, and so I was like, okay, I have strong belief that I will get it. I'm sure, like, my articulation, my words is strong. I'm very confident, and I got it. You know what I'm saying? So what, and after years, it's not like this project is from like 2018 till, like, how many years has passed? I can't even count them. So, so yeah.
So
Amazing. I
I
love
just
that.
gotta
Be
say
authentic, period. Be authentic, period. I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Nada Harib.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow. Amazing. Like Polly said, oh my goodness. This has been so awesome. I mean, I hope y'all take a minute to look in the chat and just see everyone praising you both, thanking you for this incredible session. Y'all have just shared a wealth of information. And just here to remind everybody, we are the essentials. And can y'all see my screen?
yes.
Okay, great. Whew, because y'all all disappeared. All right. As long as y'all can see the essential slide, that's all we're here to do. But thank you again, Nada and Sarah, once again, for joining us today and for rounding out the first day of the essentials. It's been an awesome day. We're going to keep these sessions going strong tomorrow. The fun will continue. We've got classes on marketing yourself and your work, how to get into commercial world, figuring out how to actually earn a living doing this and editing like a pro. So please make sure to join for those sessions as well. We're going to get started at the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York, and it's the same link you received when registering. So you do not have to register again. It is the same link, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time or New York, whatever. You got to do the math. And Polly's going to tell us some more reminders.
Yes. As another reminder, this is season 6 of the essentials that the Everyday Projects and Black photographers has been doing. So that means we have 5 past seasons that you can go replay. Like I said, from digital safety to AI to making a book, demystifying that process, to even grants and money management, all the things we've talked about it in the past. So do replay those past seasons. And these classes, of course, are being recorded. So if you missed anything today, don't worry. They're being recorded and will be available on our respective websites for free replay. And we also have them transcribed in different languages, French and Spanish. And also, before we go, we also want to let you know we'll be sending out a survey. So we'd always love to hear from you all, especially the first timers here. What do you want to see us do next season? Who do you want to hear from? Let us know, because we take that feedback and we make it, specific to what you all are saying. And so that's why everything seems so seamless and, very well curated, because we are taking that information and curating this and being very intentional with the classes that we design each year for you all. So again, thank you so much for tuning in for day 1. And thank you to our sponsor, Photo Wings, for making these classes available for free for everyone to access online. If you don't already know, Photo Wings is a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing the power of photography to further deeper thinking, communication, and action. Their extensive online content and Photo Wings outreach programs have mirrored educational applications and possibilities just like this one here.
Yes, thank you so much, Photo Wings. Thank you, Sarah, Nada, Nicole, Taiwo, Polly, Rebecca, Austin. Oh my gosh, so many people to put this on. And Polly, I loved what you said about the survey. Tell us who you want to hear from. We would love to know who you guys want to hear speak. So yeah, thank you once again. It's always so hard to say goodbye, but we'll be on again tomorrow. So yeah, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, evening. I think everyone's probably not in the morning anymore. So, yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.